Good morning, everyone. If you can hear me, if you are joining us today live on this Q&A session, let me know, and you are welcome to ask any questions at any time. Now, if you're new here, this is a regular Q&A session that I conduct with my Job Search for 25 and other um, members in the Elite Career Mentor group. And you also have access to me in this group twice a month on a live Zoom call like this. One of those calls is a Q&A session like this one. And then the other is a live session where I usually present something of use and do a specific training on something. Now, we don't have that many members yet because this is fairly new. And the question I will be answering today is how to work with recruiters. It's a question that I get regularly, is how to find and work with especially international recruiters if you are an international candidate and you're looking to find a job on the other side of the world in a different country, especially if you're doing this from a distance. Now, like I say, if you are joining us this morning, Mornay, thank you. I see you there. Thanks for joining. I'm welcoming any of your questions. Jane is here too. Jane is new to this group. Very welcome, Jane. It's good to have you here. And if you're watching this later on and not on this live session, you're welcome to put your questions below wherever you see this. If you see this in a YouTube video, if you're watching it inside our group, if you're watching it in a Facebook page or wherever, I sometimes put these things out there for people to help them understand how to land their international jobs. And then they have questions, and I welcome any questions. So you're welcome to let me know any questions. Now I'm going to talk a little bit, but because there are not as many people here, you are welcome to let me know at any time if you have any questions. Jane says, thank you for the invite. You're very welcome. It's always good to have people live and to be able to answer live questions because I assume sometimes that people know things, but it's been 16, 18 years that I've done this, so it's sometimes quite a bit of time that I assume people know things and it's not also always the case. So yeah, you're welcome to let me know any questions. So let's get started here. Now, this is about or answering the question, how do I find and work with recruiters, especially international recruiters? Before I start this, I just want to say that recruiters usually form a small part of the job market in any country. The smaller the economy, the fewer the recruiters. And the reason for that is it is expensive to hire a recruiter. Any company, any organization have to watch their budget, especially in times like this where there are many countries that we work in that are in recession or where the economy is a little bit difficult at the moment. They're watching their budgets. So it's expensive. It costs between 15 and 30% of your first year's salary for a company to hire a recruiter. And therefore, they won't always hire recruiters, and therefore the market for them is smaller. So in an economy where there's a small economy with small businesses that make up the bulk of the economy, they will not hire recruiters and they'll try and find people themselves. So then recruiters make up an even smaller part of the economy. In New Zealand, the whole visible recruit or job market rather is about 6 to 9% of recruiters in the visible job market. And the visible job market is about 20%, 15 to 20% of all jobs. So you can see how small the recruiters are. In other countries where it's a bit bigger, you'll find more. And the bigger the organizations, the more likely it is that they will use a recruiter. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes I work in industries where literally there are no recruiters there in that niche or that industry. I worked with a lady who was a midwife trainer not long ago. We could not find any recruiters in her niche. She had to go to individual people, individual organizations herself, which is not uncommon. But just to give you an idea. Sometimes we find it with teachers. There are very, very few recruitment companies in New Zealand. I think maybe one who recruits teachers. Otherwise, it's the schools and the government themselves that does it. Right. So let me first, before I tell you how to find these recruiters, say that the key here is to find people, right? Not companies. So with recruiters, this market is a little bit like real estate. When the economy is hot and there's lots of jobs, there's lots of recruiters because, more companies will hire them. But when it's not the case, there are less of them. They are salespeople. They sell you as a candidate to the company who pays them for finding you. So when the market is not that good, there will be few of them and they'll go and find other jobs. And they move around quite a bit. It is one of the industries with the highest attrition rate. That means the highest number of people who come and go in a shorter period of time. So there's usually quite a bit of action or quite a bit of things happening with recruiters. So it's better to find people than to try and find recruiters, companies, in terms of just going after the company. So finding people is very important here. The KPI is key performance indicator. That's the target. If you are looking at any industry overseas and you are in one of those industries which, are likely that to have recruiters, 25 to 40 recruiters you've got to get in front of. There's also a question about, should I go with only one recruiter or should I target as many as possible? Just think about this. If the market is so small and recruiters focus on so few companies, that recruiter will only be able to get you in front of an even smaller piece of the market. So it's not in your interest to go with only one recruiter. However, they will try and let you do that. They will say, oh, you should exclusively work with me because you shouldn't send your details to other companies and I can't present you. And that is true. They can't be paid if you send your details to a company. But think about this. Whose interest are you after here, yours or theirs? So it is in your interest to get in front of as many people as possible. If you do get convinced to work with a recruiter, give them a month and say, after this month, I am doing this myself. If you haven't found me someone, then you're gone. I've done that numerous times with real estate agents and then they work for you. So that's just one of those things that you also have to keep in mind. Now, recruiters won't post all of their jobs on job listing websites. In New Zealand and Australia, we have a job listing website which is very popular called Seek. Seek is one of those places where companies and everyone comes and they list their websites. You'll find other places too, like Monster, Indeed, Jora, all of those kind of things. So it is where companies will go and advertise their jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is one of them. But they've got to pay for it. They've got to pay for every single job ad. And that is expensive as well. Seek in New Zealand, Australia varies between $1,500 and $3,500 per one job ad for 1 month. I think LinkedIn Jobs is about $1,200. So it's expensive. Now, if it's a big recruitment company and they have 100, 200, 500 jobs, they're not going to times 3,500 that and always advertise it on places like Seek or LinkedIn Jobs. They are going to only advertise the jobs that they don't have someone for. So if you're a recruiter, that's what you're doing because you're running a budget. So think about this, and I'll show you some examples. So if you only target places like LinkedIn Jobs or Seek or Monster or Indeed or Atsuna, one of those places, then you're only getting an even smaller piece of the visible job market because not all of these jobs that they do have with them are going to be advertised. I'll show you an example of that. And Hayes Recruitment is, I'm not sure if they're in other countries, but they're big in New Zealand and Australia. So if you look at Hayes Recruit, and by the way, just in between, this document that I'm working off here, I'll post this for you in the group. And if anyone else is watching this and you want a copy of this document so that you can click on the links and you can see what I see, then you're welcome to ask for it. Just go and ask me recruitment resource and I will post it for you, but I'll post it also in the group for you so you can download it and work on it as well. But if you click through on this link, you'll go to Hayes. You'll go to Seek, sorry. So Seek is a jobs website in New Zealand and Australia. Seek.com.au is in Australia, seek.co.nz is in New Zealand. So if we look at jobs that Hayes has advertised in Seek, and I see a question there, I'm going to answer it in a minute, then you'll see that there's 104 jobs from Hayes Recruitment. Actually, 46. I'm not sure the difference. I think it's just the name there or the terminology that comes through because that's what I've searched for. But nevertheless, there's no more than 104 on Seek. But if you look at Hayes in New Zealand's website, and you add up all these jobs here. I think I've added up the day that I did this, and it was nearly 300, over 300 jobs, or 320 something jobs here. Now, then you can see that not even half of the jobs are advertised on Seek. That is with Hayes. So in between that, you'll also see things like this, which is one job listing for more than one job. So you can imagine how this is a piece of that invisible job market. That's what I'm trying to say. So you've got to know what to do and how to look and where to look to be able to see as many as possible. But not only that, if you can preempt this and be proactive and get in front of these recruiters before they even have to advertise jobs, that is where you want to be, because the moment these jobs are advertised either on their website or on Seek, you've got competition. So finding recruiters and getting in front of them is one of the ways to get in front of all of this. And that's the point I want to make here. So this is just an example of showing you a piece of the invisible job market or the hidden job market just by looking at where they advertise and how they advertise. Okay, let's take a moment here and answer this question. I can see that there is a question. Jane says share it. Sorry, if I'm not sharing. There we go. Can you see my screen? Let me just ask again if you can see my screen. You should be able to see my screen.
Yes, I can see the screen. I was requesting
Awesome.
maybe you can share the
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can.
Thank you.
Yeah. Give us a minute and we'll go through this, and then I'll take your questions and then I'll let you share, and you can share
That's
your screen
okay.
as well.
That's okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thanks, Jane. Awesome. So I hope this is a little bit of an eye-opener for you in terms of, just showing. I mean, this hour that we have together here is just too short to show you everything. But this is really, you can go to any recruitment agency, any big recruitment agency. So in your niche, in your country, wherever you're going, do this exercise and you'll see this kind of thing happening. Hayes is not going to advertise all the jobs on their website on Seek because they've got to pay for every single one of them. And they're probably the biggest or one of the biggest recruitment agents in New Zealand. And I think in Australia too. I'm not sure if they're all over the world, but they're in a multinational. So you can see what they're doing. So your strategy here is to get into them, to get to them before this happens. And that's what we're going to do here. Okay, so before you also start this, make sure you have an up-to-date LinkedIn profile. Now, I can't go through all of how that profile need to look like, but you need to have an up-to-date LinkedIn profile. I'm just trying to think. In a previous session here, I think it was about a month or 2 months ago, I did a condensed version of how to turn your LinkedIn profile into a job search magnet. It's in the training, in the job search for 25 training. It's if I work with people one-on-one, I will do that for them. If I work with people one-on-one, I find the recruiters for them. I turn their LinkedIn profile into a job search magnet profile. I do all their LinkedIn work for them in terms of showing them how to set it up in terms of what to do and up to date. But you want to have it to a point where recruiters come to look. They need to see your eligibility if you're an international candidate, your availability. They need to see your value. They need to see your proof of your skills. They need to see that you are better than everyone else. You can't just have a normal LinkedIn profile. It needs to be a higher level. So make sure you've done that before you do this exercise, because those recruiters will come looking and we want them to see you perfect in a perfect way. Okay, so let's go through the 5 steps. Now, step number 1 is looking at who is advertising. Remember, we're finding people here, individual people. I'm going to give you an example. I've known a lady called Kelly Dillon for years, probably my whole career in New Zealand. I've known her. She is one of the best recruiters in New Zealand. And she has, in the time that I've known her, worked for 7 recruitment companies. She's gone from one to the other to the other. She is extremely senior, extremely experienced. But it just shows you, if I followed her around instead of the company, I would have built a relationship with that person or have been able to be exposed to more than one company. So we're finding people, not companies. These companies too come and go all the time. So find people. So I've used an example here of a financial accountant. Now, if you click through here, you're going to get to Seek. And this is what I've searched for, financial accountant, just to Seek in New Zealand. You can do this with any job search website in any country. By the way, if you want to give me an idea of the sites in your country that you are going to, if you're an international candidate, tell me, and I'll give you a rundown of which of these things to search for. There's different ones in different countries. So with this absolute terminology, absolute means it has the little commas in it. I found 41 listed jobs. And I mean, in New Zealand at the moment, there's not many jobs listed because it's holiday season. So here you're looking for recruitment companies. Now this says Nexus Logistics. It's not a recruitment company. Masfin Holdings is not a recruitment company. Recruitment Studio is a recruitment company, right? So I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to find the person. See if I can find a person. So I'm going to look through this job ad here. And here it talks about sometimes they will post the name of a person. Let me say it this way. They'll post the name of a person because they're a smaller recruitment company. They're not running an ATS, or they're not running the ATS that works through Seek. ATS is an applicant tracking system, which is an automated software that will accept your application and knock you out if you're an international candidate. That is the biggest problem for international candidates. But if they're a smaller company, they obviously can't afford an ATS or can't afford to pay the ATS that's in Seek or some of these websites, and they will say, contact me personally. So this is what this one has done here. Bridget at Recruitment Studio. So I'm going to try and find Bridget at Recruitment Studio. So what I'm going to do here is go into LinkedIn, and I'm going to find the company, Recruitment Studio. Now you can do it this way. There we are. Or you can go to Google and find the Recruitment Studio this way. Just remember, when you do it in Google, you have to, if you're offshore, use your advanced search. I think it's somewhere in here, to make sure that you're getting the search. And here we go. The search in in the region that you're targeting. Makes sense? If you're targeting Australia and you're in Africa or in Europe or in the Americas, you've got to change that region here to make sure you get the right results. Otherwise, you're going to get results close to you, because Google sometimes does that if you're set up in location tracking. So you can either go through their website, or you can just go through LinkedIn and find them. Now, remember, we're looking at people. Right, so we're going to the people tab. We can see this company has 2 to 10 employees. So this is a small recruitment company. I've never heard of them, so they're probably brand new, as I do. And I'm going to find Bridget. So here we are. This is Bridget Johnston or someone. Anyways, I don't see anyone else called Bridget here. So make sure at this point you want your LinkedIn profile to be up to date and open. Open means that that person can see who you are, what you're about, what you want. That's the kind of thing. They're going to look back at you. So you need to have it up to date and open. Now you're going to look at that person's profile. So you click on the profile, and you're going to look through this profile and see what he or she does. Obviously, she's the co-founder, so she's the boss there. Right, she's probably the person who started this company, or with someone else. What you're going to do here, first steps are, once you found the person, follow that person on LinkedIn. Now, there's a reason that you're following that person on LinkedIn, right? So you go here and you click follow if she's not in your network or he's not in your network. The reason you're doing that is so that when this person posts something, you're going to see it come through your newsfeed. And it's very, very important because of this kind of thing. This is not a job ad in LinkedIn. Remember what I said in the beginning. These people will post or try and find people without spending money. So they're going to post to their network a job vacancy. If they advertise it on LinkedIn, it's going to appear in job ads, but in here, LinkedIn jobs, but then they've got to pay for it. Otherwise, they'll post it on their profile. And if you're following them, you will see it come through your newsfeed, and you'll be the first one to know about it. Okay, so this is the kind of thing you're going to see if you follow this person. Does it make sense? So you're following that person. The next step is to send a connection request, because you also want that person in your audience, in your network. If you're following them, you will see their posts. If you're connected to them, they will see your posts. Does it make sense? Do not ask for a job. Please do not send them your CV and say you're looking for a job. This is not the way that this is not the reason you're here. You just want them in your network so that they can see you and your profile. Remember, if you send them your CV, they see a snapshot of you, which is not your full value. You don't want that. You want them to see your whole value. You want them to see your profile. Here is the message that you're going to send them. I'm researching whatever industry in whatever country and found your profile, would like to add you to my network to learn more of that industry. That is very unthreatening, non-threatening, subtle, easy. They can just click yes. They don't have to think about this. If someone sends me their CV, I'm like, what do you want me to do with this? There's nothing I can do with this thing. I can't give you a job, so go away. If someone says, I've watched your videos, please add me to your network, I go, yes. And they're in my network. That's that difference. It's a subtle difference in messaging. So always add a connection request message and always include that message, right? So you're going to click connect, and here you're going to add a note and add that message and your details that I've given you in here into this message. Remember, this is the kind of thing you've got to do with between 25 and 40 recruiters in your niche and your destination. Okay? So the next step is to get your details in the hiring pool. A little bit about the hiring pool. The hiring pool is a database that they're keeping in some shape or form of candidates. Now, they can run this database on a spreadsheet, in a email list. They can run it in a ATS system, an applicant tracking system, formerly like Hayes has got an applicant tracking system. However, you want to get into that database. The reason is the moment that they get a company or a client or an institution or an organization coming to them saying, I want X person, they're going to the database, looking in who is available and calling up those people without going to advertise that job. They're first going to look at that database. You want to be in that database. So how do you get into that database? Now, that exercise is called the direct approach or the virtual door knock strategy. If you want to go and have a look at the training in the Elite Career Mentors training portal, there's a whole training there's training sessions, there's a whole course in there about that strategy and how to get in there. If I work with people one-on-one, I sit down with them and I show them how to do this, and they have a KPI to reach as well. And we do this until they've reached a certain point. That strategy has 15 to 40% success rate if you're doing it correctly. It is proven. It is gold. It is dynamite. The last few weeks, we've had several people who've had multiple offers and multiple interviews just using that from a distance. So that works very well, but you've got to know what to do and how to approach these companies. You're also not applying for jobs online. But in the Elite Career Mentor, there is a whole training about this. If you don't know where to find it, just let me know after this and I'll tell you where. I'll quickly show you how to do this. This means you've got to have your credentials set up. Your LinkedIn profile needs to be a job of a magnet profile, really set up well. You've got to have your strategic CV set up. You've got to have a letter of interest or a recruiter's letter set up, usually a recruiter's letter because you're going to send it to recruiters. Then what you're going to do is get it into their pool. So I'm going to show you one. Absolute IT is an IT recruiter in New Zealand. And I think they run a database in ATS, I'm not 100% sure. But on their website, you'll usually find a button or a portal or a tab or something saying, submit your CV, register an account, send us your CV or something like that. When you go there, you can add your details and submit your CV. This is getting you into their database. So you've got your strategic CV. Strategic CV is a very specific thing. You can't just send a generic CV. You've got to send a strategic CV or an optimized CV. That is one that is optimized for your occupation. It's not a tailored CV, it's a strategic or an optimized CV. And a recruiter's cover letter that's addressing a recruiter to say, get me into your database, right? You can also write one here. And this is how you get into them. For a small company like Recruitment Studio, I'm not sure that they have one. Let me search for them again. Recruitment Studio in New Zealand. They probably don't have a Flash ATS system set up or a system on their website. I'm not sure. I've never seen them. I haven't worked with them. Oh, here we go. So they've got a button, send your CV. So here you can also just send your CV. Some of them won't have anything, and you've got to find an email address to send to someone. So they've got something very similar to Absolute IT on their website. So this is how you get your credentials into their pool. Now, you can't just stop there. Make sure you then go on to demonstrate your value. Okay, this is ongoing. You can't just leave it and do nothing. The thing is, if you've got a network and you never speak to the network, they don't ever see you. Imagine if I never post any new videos. No one would ever know I exist, right? I would just drop off the radar of being front of mind for anyone who is potentially my client or my candidate. So now you've got to post something, your work, showcase your skills, demonstrate your value. I would recommend once a week on LinkedIn so you stay front of mind. And that takes a strategy as well. So yes, when I work with people one-on-one, I show them how to do this. We at the come to a point where we do this becomes a strategy that they've got to work through after they've done 100 employers, getting in front of 100 employers, getting in front of 25 to 40 recruiters, building an audience of 100 people, and then they start to showcase their skills. These are strategies that they work through. All right. So here are people who have done this. This is examples of people who've actually done this. There's so many examples. I just put two up here. This is one who has posted his video resume. Now, a video resume is a resume video, which is something that you shoot. It's a very 1 to 2 minute video, and you can introduce yourself, just say who you are. It showcases your personality, your enthusiasm, your character. It's people can see you can speak English, that kind of thing. You post it. Now, this person, after posting it, it's actually gone up to 10,000 views already, but right after he posted it, it just went viral, 7,000 views. And Social Metrics Society, the Visual Resume, was instrumental in connecting me with a few people, especially recruiters who noted they enjoyed it, turned into my first interview into New Zealand. This one was this was during COVID. I remember Alexis. He just did what I told him. He came on a call with me, and I said to him, "You've just got to do this. It's a really difficult time right now. Do this, this, and this, and this," and literally got a call from recruiters and got his offer and his visa and everything. Now there are dozens of examples like this. This is just two examples that I just put here so you can see what kind of thing will happen. Okay. Extra to this, recruiters, once they see you, so like after this person got this from the recruiter, they got a recruiter's interview. It's a thing, right? If you click on this link, it will take you through to recruiters, what a recruiter's interview is. Recruiters will usually see your details, see your profile, think you're a good fit for us. Let's do an interview with you. That recruiter is going to do an interview with you so they can know if they can present you to their client or their company. It's a specific thing. So if you click through on this link, it will take you to some research about recruiters' interviews. You can read through it and do your own preparation. Also, you can find specific recruiters and do informational interviews with them. In other words, you can interview them, and that's a way where you can demonstrate more than just what they can see on a CV from you. And you can also test the market with doing that. So clicking through on this link, you'll find more resources with recruiters of informational interviews. So that is basically your resource for working with recruiters. There's so much more I can show you, but our time here is a little bit constrained at the moment, just an hour or so. Like I say, I get this question all the time. How do I find them? How do I work with them? What do I do with them? How do I approach them? If you find someone specific and you have a specific question, please let us know. You all have access to the group. the job search for $25 group or the Elite Career Mentor support group, and you will have access to me, and you can put your question there at any time and I will answer it for you. Okay, so let's go back and ask if there are any questions. Good. Let me just find my Zoom thing again. I have just lost it. Let me find it again. Here we go. All right, guys. So let me see. Are there any questions? Jane, have you got any questions? You can unmute yourself if you want to. I'm very happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I'm Jane Gugi. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. In fact, it's about 10 here in Kenya. So I can see from
Awesome.
your end, it's about, yes, it's 10 p.m. in Kenya. So
Yes.
it's on Sunday. Yours, I think
Night.
it's on Monday, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, it is
Okay.
8:30 Monday night. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
okay. I saw your trail, and I thought it's something that I want to follow, to pursue. I've been marketing and communication personnel, so I'm pursuing for New Zealand. How can you
Mhm.
guide me on that? I can see you have an one-on-one
Okay.
program, which
Yes.
I think I'll be interested on it, because I think it's time I think of something that I want to have internationally, global
Yeah.
presence for myself as I'm growing older. Sorry to say, because you're all growing older. So,
We
and also
are
for my
every day.
children. Yes, as
Okay.
we help also to have two children, 13 years old and 17 years old. So it's something also I want them to have a better education system based on what is going on in Kenya. How can you guide me on that?
All right.
Yes.
The first things I always say to people who want to immigrate from one country to another is that you're an immigrant or a potential international candidate. And the place where
Mm-hmm.
you should start, you don't do anything
Mm-hmm.
until you've done this, is check your eligibility. Your eligibility
Mm-hmm.
means that you've got to check which visas you qualify for in your destination country. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
for example, New Zealand, there are many kinds of work visas, which are temporary visas. There are many kinds of residence programs, which are more permanent programs that you can stay here permanently for. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to think about which of those things do I qualify for? Not everyone qualifies for everything. Not everyone qualifies, and there are different requirements. So you've got to check your
Okay.
eligibility. The way to do that is you can either go to the New Zealand immigration website and try to work all those details yourself and check your
Mm.
eligibility. It's confusing, it's overwhelming, and you can make mistakes, and it's highly risky. And this is a very
Okay.
risky business. So that's one option.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is you can find an immigration advisor. In New Zealand and many
Mm-hmm.
other countries in the world, they've got to be licensed. So
Mm-hmm.
I can send you a list to check for a licensed immigration advisor, or I can make some recommendations of, go to this person or that person. I know many of them. And they can
Mm-hmm.
give you what we call an eligibility assessment. So they take your details and they will go through all the requirements, and they'll tell you which visas you are eligible for, which visas you
Mm-hmm.
qualify for, what the requirements are, what you need to do next. Usually,
Okay.
the eligibility process will cost you between $100 to $500. It depends on how much
Mm-hmm.
service you're getting, from that person. And I always say, pay for it because you want something proper. This is the most important part of your whole immigration process. Before you do anything or spend any big money, you need to know what you're getting
Mm-hmm.
yourself into. So
Exactly.
they will give you a report. I recommend that they give you a written report. They
Mm-hmm.
also should give you a call so you can ask some questions of them, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So it
Mm-hmm.
depends on that kind of service. I have a service in our immigration. We've got an immigration business called the Migration Mentor Limited. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to, you can go on the internet and find there. And
Mm-hmm.
then what we usually do is we do that. I do a call with that person so I can establish their needs and their goals and their challenges. Then I
Mm-hmm.
send them to our immigration advisor. Her name is also no, her name is Joyce Lee. She's a licensed
Mm-hmm.
immigration advisor in New Zealand. You can look her up
Mm-hmm.
on LinkedIn if you want to. But I send them there. She will do an assessment report. She will send that assessment report to that person and to me. I then do
Mm-hmm.
another call with that person, and she also does a
Mm-hmm.
call with that person. So that whole package is usually about $500. If you want me to, I can send you the details of that so you can look into it. Is that what you're after?
I think I prefer dealing with you directly, because I mean you're already on the ground. So looking for someone
Yeah.
else, it's a little bit, it can be
Mm.
problematic on my end. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, good. What
Okay.
I will do is I'll contact you after this call, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
just get some. I've got your email address because you're in our group, so I'll send you an email
Mm-hmm.
with the details of all of
Mm-hmm.
this. Okay, so look out for
Mm-hmm.
the email.
Mm-hmm.
It will come from Zerelsi at the Migration Mentor. So just look
Okay.
out for that email because it's in our immigration
Mm-hmm.
company, and then I'll just send you, all the details of what you need to do, how it works, the costs involved, etc., and the process, etc., and give you some
Mm-hmm.
videos to watch just so you can wrap your head around the whole process. Okay,
Okay. Yes.
perfect. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. So
Awesome.
after the eligibility assessment, what happens next?
Is dependent on the eligibility assessment. The eligibility assessment will
Okay.
tell you what to do
Mm-hmm.
next. Usually, it's
Okay. Okay.
things like skills assessments. Some people will sometimes have to get their qualifications assessed by the authority in their destination country, sometimes not. Sometimes they'll have to do English, sometimes not. It all depends on your individual eligibility. And your eligibility can also include your whole family because you want to
Mm-hmm.
include your family because you will want to know what's going to happen to my partner, what's going to happen to my children, what visas are they entitled to, what rights are they entitled to, can they go to school, can they get medical? All those things are part of eligibility.
Okay. Okay. That's okay.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
I'll send you an email with a lot of detail, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
just reply to me if you want more information, but it will give you some starting point, and that's where we can start. Okay?
Okay, that's fine with me then. Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for your question.
Mm.
Awesome. All right.
Anytime. Anytime.
Anyone else with any questions out there? Morna, any questions? If you're still there.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm
you are
still
there.
here. I'm good. I think
Awesome.
we've gone through this personally, but it's sometimes
Yeah,
nice just to brush up a bit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just hear
That's
it
good.
again. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. How are you
yeah.
going? Are you finding the people that you in this way and you're finding individuals and you're getting your network
I
set up, etc.?
I must be honest, we're finding it difficult because my sister has her grandchildren here for Christmas, so it's being a little crazy. But I try to spend at least a hour or two a day, and yes, I am working through the list. My
That's
KPI of
awesome.
100. Yes.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The thing is, this looks, I've done this in an hour. You by now know how this works, and you by now know how difficult it is to do this thing. It is actually easier, and I can say that to everyone. It's easier than making up a tailored CV, because that's what you've got to do if you apply online. Making up a tailored CV, spending the hours and days making up an application and a tailored CV, sending it to a job ad online, getting knocked back, and having to do that 100 times to get one or two maybe replies. That is the stats that you're facing if you apply online. If you're an immigrant, it may be even worse. But this process, this piece about recruiters is part of a bigger process in how to find a job internationally without applying online. And if all this comes together, if you're doing all these things and you're getting in front of as many employers, you're getting in front of as many recruiters, you actually making yourself visible and becoming the most valuable candidate, it's actually easier. It then goes on to serve you in the future. So many of the people that I work with, and I'll probably do a session about that, is they come back to me and say, but 6 months down the track, 9 months down the track, I still have people approaching me. I still have companies approaching me. I still have people approaching me through LinkedIn or where I've gone into their pool and then approaching me. So this works for you into the future too. So you're building an asset here, going through the proper ways of being proactive, working on your own network, working on your own profile, instead of trying to be reactive and applying for jobs as they become available and competing with 1,000 other people out there. So in the long term, this is a more prudent way of doing things and a much better way of working proactively to becoming the more visible, more valuable candidate. So stick with it. It is uncommon. I can promise you this works because I've been doing that for years and years, and we're refining things all the time. But recruiters, like I say, is a small part of the market, but important. I've got a person who is in IT at the moment. He has done, I think, 180-ish of this, including recruiters and employers, and he's had 11 hits so far. So those are interviews, offers, busy with visas. So it just shows that, he didn't apply for one of those jobs. Not one of those jobs. Actually, I think 2 of the 11 were advertised. The other 9 were never advertised. Those companies have come back to him and say, oh, we're actually looking for someone, but we haven't advertised yet, but we will consider you. That's the kind of thing you want to happen. It doesn't always happen in that way, but it happens more than often. More than that person has been doing this for 18 months. No, let me say it this way, 6 months on the ground in New Zealand trying to find his job, applying online has yielded nothing. And 6 weeks have yielded these 11 hits doing it this way. So it's much better return on investment. So let me say it this way. Okay, cool. So if anyone out there is watching this and you have a question, please post it below this video. Even, if you have a question after many weeks or many months after I've done this live, you're welcome to let me know your questions and I will endeavor to answer them. If you have any other questions that you want me to answer in a live session like this, please let me know if you're not a one-on-one person and you're in the group, and I'll make a special video, or I'll go through a question session like this and we can work through your questions. Now, it is 2 days before Christmas. For everyone out there, Merry Christmas. And if I don't speak to you again until the new year, a very prosperous and happy 2025 ahead. I hope to work with you, all of you, and I hope that you will all find your jobs and realize your dreams. We all have our dreams and wishes and hopes for the new year and the future. And I absolutely look forward. We are going away for a couple of weeks with our children too, but I absolutely look forward to working with you too in the new year. And Jane says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you, Jane, to you too, and I will send you that email as well. Thank you, Mornay, for your attendance too. I hope to talk to you soon as well, one-on-one. Take care, everyone. I'm signing off for 2024. I'll speak to you again in 2025.